Top Esports could just take it here if they really want to prioritize it, and then RNG, they're going to drop in prio in terms of AD carries.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see now if RNG do decide to mix things up and go for like the HEcarim pick here that we're kind of highlighting. Like you could just go back towards the Volibear if you wanted to default towards it. I also think like maybe taking something to the Rise over a Jinx is probably your better option here, right? Like getting that priority in the mid lane, but looks like we're going to get the Jinx and there's that HEcarim.
Yeah, and I actually feel like this composition, right, you know you have the HEcarim diving into you. We've seen Mark be really good in the Renata. I could see them take that in this rotation. Likely going to pick up the jungler as well here. If they could go for the Rise, though, right? I think
Rise is just so strong.
Yeah, I mean, Rise for Knight, I feel like they're probably locked into taking a jungler as well here. Looking at the Trundle, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Already with your Aphelios up against the HEcarim, the idea would be, you know, kiting backwards, and Trundle plays so well into that.
So the only thing I'd be worried about here is like if you end up taking something like the Rise, that you end up in a situation where RNG decide to say take Jace, then you're able to ban away more of these counters that are coming out because Camille is already off the board. You can start to then look at this like kind of long range composition for RNG if you wanted to, but we'll have to see if what the plan is going to be. They may, as you say, just default back towards something like the Renata or a Leona here for Mark, and then kind of wait and see kind of how the rest of this pans out before they decide to commit. But yeah, the Rises looks like it's going to be locked in.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then for RNG in this situation, they could just look to match mid if they want to take a pick here. Xiaohu, the LeBlanc is still open and available, right? They could even take the Galio here if they really wanted to match pound for pound in their own potential. Yeah. A lot of options.
I think you take the Jace here. I think really, like, give a good matchup to Bane, ability to play a range. You can always go back towards something like the Galio after this if you want to, but looks like you're just going to take the Galio now. Again, maybe RNG just try to set themselves up for something like Jace for being in the top side. I think Jace is just so strong at the moment, and when you're able to just ban away counters right now, it just feels like it could be so good.
Yeah, definitely a potential. I feel like here, RNG, though, we talked about the Renata, I think that's going to have to be a ban in this situation, just with how they want to play things around. They are going for the Grace Fist, and like you said, if they want to set the Jace for success, now is the time to do so.
Yeah, and again, like, you kind of got push-pull here as RNG, right? Like, you've got great engage with the HEcarim and the Galio. You've got the ability to play some range with the Jinx if you want to. So they've kind of got a ton of options, whereas when you look at top esports, you know that they're going to be trying to go for these big engage tools, trying to find some way to enable the Aphelios. So even looking at something like the Nara for Wayward could be one of the blind picks that they're going for. I think an Ornn actually could be a really solid pick here for top esports if they want to try and have that threat for the backline as well and move Wayward back over towards these tanks.
Yeah, I mean, it would put a lot of reliance on JackeyLove to be that damage carry on the Aphelios, but honestly, I think with how the draft is going so far, you know, RNG's composition is going to be one of diving into for the most part, so there's still very much a possibility to do so. I'd be very surprised not to see a Renata ban here. They do end up going for that. Top esports, they could look towards that Jace to take away from Bin if they expect that to come out. We'll have to see.
We'll have to see where they're going to go with this one. Final ban for top esports. And still quite a few different top laners available. It's likely RNG... I mean, do you expect RNG just to go for a supporter and go for the counter pickup in the top lane? Or do you think support counter picks more value?
I think it depends what's available, in all honesty. I feel like, though, you're playing the Jinx. Like, I don't think it's too vitally important about the support matchup.
So Aatrox says to me that they're trying to set up for the Ornn pick, right? Aatrox, a really good matchup into the Ornn. But I think you've got the option actually here. Something I didn't consider was the Kennen that was banned away last game, right? I think Kennen could work really well for RNG's composition, especially if top esports have such short range. You've got great setup there if you want to, and just the opportunity to try and play back. But we'll have to see, is Leona going to be taken from Ming here? At least making sure that they've got the aggressive side of the support matchup if Mark goes towards the Nautilus here.
Yeah, and I feel like you have a lot of options for support, like Thresh works if you want to play that more peel game, really good with the Aphelios. It's something we haven't seen as much, but I think this is a window it could be strong. But Mark could just go bog standard and go for like the Nautilus, which we've seen played a lot into Leona. I actually really like the Gragas again. If you're looking to kite backwards, you know, against the dive of RNG, Gragas makes complete sense in that regard. Really strong pick for Wayward. Really strong pick we've seen from all the top laners still left in the tournament.
Yeah, and then the Rakan hovered here. Set has been an answer into the Leona quite a bit, so I think I'm happy with either one, right? Especially if you take the set, you can always try and turn that engage around. Same with the Rakan, just means you've got a little bit more agency there, but either work. And now it's just a big question of what Bin wants to go for. I mean, you kind of have your pick of the litter against the Gragas. You're not under too much pressure, in theory, but we also saw what Rich was able to do with that yesterday. Yeah, so
doesn't necessarily have to be a tank Gragas, remember. Yeah, in the LPL, they love an AP Gragas top.
Yeah, bit of the Everfrost, Fimbulwinter, Bramble Vest, they're perfectly happy with it, but yeah, I mean, looks like it's just going to be bog standard going for the Nara. So yeah, I mean, oh, that could be spicy actually.
How do you
I
feel
kind of
about
like the Gwen, honestly. I feel like it's a big threat when you get the backline. Obviously, it did get nerfed, so the laning isn't as powerful, but you're not going to struggle to Gragas. I think that's why there's value for taking as his 5th pick. And this comp from RNG is fully committed to we are going to dive onto top esports. And with the Gwen compared to the Gnar, I feel like you're an easier to execute flank threat. Because I feel like with Gnar, you have to set up the mega, you have to be in the right position, easily to be discouraged.
I think one of the big things that Ox pointed out earlier on was as well that JackeyLove is kind of the main damage source now for this team. And when you got something like a Gwen who can go into the Hollowed Mist, it means that this Gwen can actually have a lot of threat and play very aggressive into the front line because you know you're not going to have a ton of damage coming back at you. Now, obviously, Knight can kind of play a little bit more into the Hollowed Mist because as we've seen, Knight likes to play this tank Rise. But I think still just the fact that you lack so much damage is actually going to play perfectly into the Gwen's hands.
So let's talk RNG's comp holistically then. How do they set this Gwen up for success? How do they get into a position where the Gwen can operate and can get in range of JackeyLove?
So, I was going to say, I think flanks is going to be really important. Whenever you have a comp that wants to engage on the enemy team, right, you want to find good angles of approach. So things like the Gragas on super effective. You want to set up early with like the Galio. We saw Xiaohu do a fantastic job game 5 against JDG, because if you get this Gwen ahead, if you get snowballing, then the damage is just going to lack. And even if sort of Aphelios is strong, it just might not be enough.
All right, well, we'll see if it's going to be enough for RNG or whether top esports are going to be able to keep this ball rolling. Going to kick it up to the casters for game number 2.
Thank you for breaking that down, gents. Thank you for the big ban, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the casting room. Yeah.
The casting machines room?
Yeah. Welcome back to Ashin's room. We have amazing posters behind us and lovely artwork. And yes, Ashin likes anime, but props to him. So do I. Now, this is important because we're in an upper bracket final, and it's not time to talk about My Hero Academia. Instead, it's time to talk about top esports and RNG. Now, Lyric, they broke down pick ban on the desk before, and coming into this game, as we get a bit of skirmishing up between junglers, you were telling me that you like the adaptation of the Gwen coming through here as the RNG last pick.
Yeah, this is the patch where she did lose the 50 ranges. Gala and Mark.
Respect.
Big boy. Hey, they used to be the bot lane, right?
They did.
These were the bot lane. Sino Dragon, DMO. These were the boys.
Man, no love lost, I guess, as well. Like, JackeyLove and Ming been in the league for a while together
Where's
as well.
Twyla? Where's Xiaopeng?
True. You like the old DMO, the sword and shield.
I did.
Of 2019. Bit of a throwback there.
I remember going into 2020, I predicted them to be top 6. Was completely wrong.
It's okay.
But I'll bring us back.
So,
yeah, I think the Gwen, right, despite the nerfs, I mean, not really having anyone who wants to play in that Hollowed Mist, I think it'd be quite tough. Knight, maybe, can get in there. Tian, depending on his early game, I think can be quite a nuisance to the opposing team. But RNG overall, very clear game plan. Go in, try and find access to JackeyLove, who's really going to be the sole damage dealer on this squad. And for top esports, it's all about kiting back. You have the disengage coming out from the Gragas. You have the pillar to keep space between the enemy team and JackeyLove. And then everything is going straight towards Mr. President JackeyLove.
Okay, so we're protecting the president here. JackeyLove going to have a lot of attention then as Ming already starting us off with a nice center play, but kite back beginning with a cleanse from the man himself as well. But he's taking a lot of damage. Gala in extended range as well. But that's a heal burnt versus an ignite, and JackeyLove's health bar now relying on the Sephiroth for this lane.
Yeah, actually a cleanse and an ignite just up against the ignite on the opposite side. RNG, though, I mean, both of them taking some decent damage, so not a completely one trade on the side of RNG, despite the fact that they were able to get 2 summoners. One thing I want to highlight is also the mid matchup. Having Ryze against the Galio. I'm so happy to see the Ryze take the Conquer. I was so frustrated with JDG the other day when they had this exact same matchup and didn't go with it. You have Ryze up against Galio, a hard-winning lane, and then a bunch of champions that are short range and want to come into you other than the Jinx. So I feel like you can really get a ton of value out of the damage you can start stacking up with that rune. And now we're going to be seeing what Knight is able to do in this matchup. So far, just kind of holding the wave to his side. And yeah, maybe try and set up some sort of early ganks. You do have Tian, and we've talked about how much Knight and Tian love playing with each other. Tian as well, having the early pillar, can just zone Galio out, try and get that early flash.
And he had a really good game 1 on this Trundle. We talked about how pivotal he was against Wei, who on the volley bear was very quiet in G1. So kind of hoping that Wei on the HEcarim, the change of pace here, the all-in we talked about from RNG, comes to a bit more success. And Tian, you're right, playing towards mid. What's new? Great pillar placement as well as Wayward has even roped down. Hang on a minute, that's not fair.
And that's just a nice setup coming out from the side of TES. Knight holding the wave, kind of letting Xiaohu get the push. I wonder if he maybe tried to pull it at level 1. Because as Rise, you control when this lane pushes early on, pretty much the whole time. Typically, you know, things like solo queue, you just stack waves on Galio endlessly to find the advantage. Knight pulls it, has Wayward come down, sets up for Tian. I'm surprised Xiaohu maybe not expecting it more.
Yeah, I know, it's rough, right? And especially since we've seen Galio's fall flat, right? You were talking to me when they were doing pick ban about how predictable it can be as we looked at the bottom lane. Way is joining in as well, and JackeyLove's already burnt the flash, but Tian, can he find his placement as JackeyLove's running for his life, but he's got the cavalry here. The president is already protected. And here in the White House, no one's getting through the front door. It's Xiaohu with the shields around, but it doesn't matter. He's come down to his death. They're chasing Mark. It's a flash forward. Xiaohu lives for now, but not for much longer. Knight has his way, and RNG can't stay. As Tian still chasing up a rune prison, a chomp, a spreading of the runes itself, and a double kill for Top Esports. They're on the board early again.
And I love to see Top Esports answering the play. Doesn't matter about the teleport changes because the Knight can just teleport to his turret. RNG are running them down, and they answer the play. We're going to go straight into the replay with what happens here. RNG looking for the aggression because Mark does walk away. They have Way heading down. But again, look at the minimap. We see Knight TPing in. Tian is already here because he was naturally pathing down. And they're able to turn this play. Amazing pillar placement to be able to get Way down. And then sure, Xiaohu's able to get in, but Gala being zoned away, not able to lay down the damage. Mark being forced to flash out from the taunt makes it so he does go down, but still you answer with so many more kills on Top Esports side.
I love it, Lyric. There's 3 bodyguards there, and they're like, get down, Mr. President. JackeyLove is safe, survives, even helping with the assist in the end there as well. All attention ran bot as RNG now down 1,000 gold.
3-0 and 1 Knight on Rise.
And you talked about how big this Rise could be within the laning phase. He has so many resources this early in the game.
And we were just about to ask about the Galio pick because yeah, me and you were talking about it. I'm like, I'm not a huge fan of the Galio pick, especially with Rise in the meta. And RNG always using it as an answer to the Rise, which is how much of a better time and lane it is for Rise. And I feel like a lot of Galio's movements are just so telegraphed, right? Because Rise should always be up in his face. Sure, you can give away waves or he can make plays off resets, but as Top Esports, you can anticipate those windows to be able to come through. So I think it is much harder to play for the Galio side. But RNG, they did have success with it up against JDG.
Yep.
So I can understand why they felt confident doing it here again today. But 0-2 so far for Xiaohu.
Yeah, a rough start. We'll have to see what he can do with the hero's entrance when we already looked at how the comp rotates around Galio, around the HEcarim, excuse me.
Yeah, following the all-in.
Yes. So there is that all-in potential still there, but the game has started off very shakily. And coming into the series, we talked about how even it felt like it could be.
We're just both losing our words today.
And
today's so much slower than yesterday.
I know. Yesterday was so speedy as Mark's going to go for the all-in, but there's a jungler nearby. The all-in returned as Hero's Entrance finally used. JackeyLove knows he's dead. The president can't get out of this one. And the whole of RNG converge. Good response, and as we're saying it, Lyric, it happens.
The nice thing for RNG is, I mean, despite the fact that Top Esports do have a great amount of disengage, right? I mean, Leona, HEcarim, there's almost no better duo at being able to find the target that you're looking for consistently every time, especially when they have no summoners. JackeyLove, no Flash. Flash is going to be a critical thing. We're going to have to keep our eyes on this game for JackeyLove, because if not, it just becomes so much easier for them to punish. TES, I have no idea what you're doing here. That's why I didn't talk about it.
Okay, well, Tian's level 6 at the very least. Mark has run out of escapes, but I guess so have RNG, playing a little bit close to the edge, but RNG do get the Dragon to start off the game.
Yeah, Top Esports playing with fire there. I mean, you could posture long enough to where maybe they chase you and you could see a pincer movement come from Knight if JackeyLove gets back, or you can just completely run it down. So thank God for Top Esports. Nothing ended up happening with that one. And now kind of going back to a default setup. Tian, though, with the fact that he has so much pressure in mid lane, going to look for a bit of an evade, but look where RNG's bot lane is right now.
They're deep. I mean, Tian might spot them out or vice versa.
Oh, he's caught.
In the brush. Way is going to be the receiving party. Tian stunned up but not expecting it. Knight's coming in with a Realm Warp though, but JackeyLove even slow too. As Way's ulti's good, but Knight just does so much damage. Mark came in as well. Way not expecting the full cavalry once again. And everyone converging around bot. JackeyLove takes too many turret shots for his death. But it is a trade-off in the end. Lyric. Top Esports always happy to match. I
mean, it's still huge for TS. You come out with more kills, you're going to be able to push in that bot wave, deny a wave from the side of RNG. And this game quickly snowballing out of control. 2K gold lead for TS. Me and Dagda were saying we smelled the 3-0 today, and it's slowly looking more real as we see here. RNG, a little bit cerebral, looked like they were looking for a play on bot. Tian walking straight into them, but the Realm Warp, the key thing here with the fact that Knight is already so big, with all these kills, Lost Chapter already built out, they're able to finish off these kills. We see here, though, Knight drops aggro, JackeyLove still walking forward, Tank's turret does go down in the end.
He had to. It's like the last play. He accepts it, he knows that it's worth the trade-off kill, with the mentality is, hey, look, you're putting your hands in the air going, that man's big. Knight's 5-0-2. He hasn't ever frost at 8 minutes. That's been completed for a little while, too.
And just going back to the fact that primarily RNG's comp is short range, right? Sure, you have the Jinx, but a lot of things can be right in front of you. You're going to find a lot of value being able to lock the key targets down, find the picks that you need. And for Knight, who is going to have control over this lane with the advantage he has, he's going to be able to constantly move. He's going to be able to move whenever he wants. Realm Warp on cooldown right now. A lot of times he will just be able to rotate over. Xiaohu doesn't have his ult up just yet, but does have the Predator, soon will have the TP up. Feels like a lot of time you're going to be forced into a choice. Do I drop waves and give Prio over to Knight or give him an opportunity to answer? Or do I just, always be the reactive one on the play?
And I think I got a question to ask you while we see this trading of lane happening, right? Like JackeyLove, Mark, Tian all sitting top side. JackeyLove committing for the turret plating here as well. Knight is so strong at this point. You talked about the damage source of top esports being JackeyLove, but because this rise is so elevated, it feels like they have to look in different directions, more so than they would have expected.
100%. I mean, the fact that Knight is so accelerated, right, he's now going to be the big damage dealer, at least in the early game. Like, sure, if this game goes 40 minutes, it's still going to be all about JackeyLove, but for now, having to worry about Knight, and now Mark.
Like this, I mean, the Justice Punch was used to hit Knight in the mid lane. Mark ulties immediately. And Xiaohu has to burn a flash straight to the mid lane. Look at the rotations here from top esports. Lyric, they're moving as a unit.
Yeah, and just beautiful transfer of pressure. We see them push out top, start rotating. Jungle and AD over. Mark already coming off his reset, comes from base, able to set this one up. And RNG are just constantly on the back foot from the fact that they're getting pushed in. The fact that the top esports get to move first, and RNG not really reading the plays quite well from TS on where they're looking to make their first moves.
I mean, they're scattered as well. I love this. Top esports go from top to mid to bottom. In between as well. Mark hovering around, doing the same thing that Tien's doing, and pulling RNG in while the waves keep getting pushed in. Now the Herald gets played in the bottom lane, and top esports are completely enveloping Bin's position.
Oh, they get this one for sure, right? It's going to be a long side lane for them to be able to play through, keep Knight in, rotate him easily. He doesn't even have to worry about Bin either anymore, right? I mean, Bin pops a Hall of Mist, he gets in there. He should just be able to outright win with the advantage he has. Bin will get some items, and, he will be nigh unkillable for anyone on the side of TES, but still going to be waiting a little bit for him to get to that point, considering, no mythics really across the board on most members. Looks like Tian had picked up his, so, now I can't see because there's just pictures of us.
Pictures of us.
Pictures of us.
We don't need pictures of us. Oh. I got to say, I'm the happiest photo of my life. I don't think I've ever looked
They should use the picture from today.
True.
Of you choking me with the wire.
That's probably not PG, though. This is our duo. There are some serious problems in the studio. All right, Twitter reference, folks. Go check it. RNG at this point, Lyric, I've got to ask some serious questions. They're 3,000 gold down. It's 12 minutes into the game. Dragon's coming up in about 15 seconds, but they're a team that we talked about having a very simple to understand condition with the all-in with...
I think both teams kind of helped this out in terms of how they drafted. Like, it's just very okay, team right wants to go in, team left wants to kite back. It's...
And then
at least if you dumb it down that much, that's how it works.
And then how do you understand it from this point where RNG is so far behind that they're running out of options this early into the game?
I think it really becomes rough. You're probably going to start look for some early cross-mapping coming out rather than answering top esports in plays. You really can. It feels like it would just be such an uphill battle. So if you have vision, they're going for Dragon, your jungler's moving up towards top, maybe look for a gank on Wayward, try and find something there. Just set up to find some scaling as well, because even if you just have neutral vision and you can make sure they're not taking your camps away, you could spot out where they're looking to roam. I mean, you still do have the Jinx for late game, Gwen, which is going to outscale her counterpart as well, and top esports who are just going to be relying on that Aphelios. The sad thing is, with the lead they have, top esports, it really feels like they actually can just brute force plays. But for RNG, even if you can just buy time, I mean, that's the best you're kind of hoping for right now. Buy time, try and scale up, cross map.
Okay, so steady the game up. RNG do have one Dragon, and to me that feels like that's at least something with how disastrously the game has been going. Knight is still 5-0-2, and we're going to be tracking this rise to see how they continue to brute force, how they use that Realm Warp aggressively. Because remember, we already talked about it, Xiaohu always has a response as well, depending on where he is in the map with the heroes in.
And, you know, that's something for both sides, right? When you have these mid laners that have globals and semi-globals... I'm gonna pause.
Solar Flare, Mark needs to be careful, but he's out.
When you have these mid laners with globals and semi-globals, like as Knight right now, you can walk top, look for a two-man gank of Wayward and Knight, which might be unexpected, onto the enemy Galio, and then guess what? Even if the enemy goes for anything on the opposite side, both of you have TP. You have Realm Warp. Like, you guys have options to still be able to answer on the opposite side of the map. Same is true for RNG, but the fact that they're behind, it's not as relevant.
Yeah, a lot harder as well. They don't have much damage to Lyric. Like, Bin's still without his first item, but you look at Top Esports,
they just finish it.
Mythics as, okay, I was really rough with the timing seeing them in base. Top Esports invading top side in the meanwhile. But yeah, now we do have 4 Mythics. Now it is matched, but Top Esports have been sitting on those Mythics a while. They have components running into the second items. They also picked up the last dragon. So again, talking about the great story of TES and coming into the upper bracket. I mean, this is the team that's made the longest run. Just a reminder that RNG, you know, this is a team I put as my strongest team of the LPL 2022 spring, Lyric. But Top Esports came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and they've just ramped up ever since they made the roster change, bringing Tian back over Xiaohu, putting Wayward in. And let's remind everyone, Wayward was like the 3rd string top laner. It was Zoom, they had Tian, and then Wayward, the guy who was in LDL, they opted into bringing him in, and it really just felt like he fit the team mold the best. He was someone who can play these lane-dominant champions if you put resources into him like they used to do at 369, but he also can take a back seat, play the tanks, have no resources, as Mark.
Yeah, let's pause a second because Mark is sticking around a little bit too long, but the quickness comes out, he flashes away as well.
Well, that was scary!
Spin was real scary considering that RNG had members everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, luckily Wayward is there, and Wayward does have the explosive cast, so I guess it's not a big deal, but just I guess on our screen, seeing Rakan flash right into a Gwen.
Yeah.
Scary stuff is now some trading coming out in bot side, but for TS now, it looks like they are just looking to control side waves. You can see in top, that one just getting pushed out by their side. Rift Herald up, so you can easily transfer to Rift Herald this top esports right now, take that free objective, and leave RNG just farming to their own devices.
And I want to point out that while we've been having a chat and no kills have gone down, gold's actually gone up by another 1,000. Top Esports are taking more and more on the map. You can see deep vision to the top side, bottom side as well with the control ward. Lyric, they're taking a lot of camps, and gold is actually still progressing nicely for TES.
It also comes back to something we used to talk about in 2020 where, you know, I would talk to these LPL coaches, again, about, like, this concept of, like, hey, you're fighting here in the enemy jungle, no objectives are up, like, what's going on? You guys are fighting over nothing. Like, this is what you'd say in the West, right? But a lot of them, the concept of fighting over nothing made no sense to them. They thought there's always something to get. We're getting kill gold, we're getting experience, we're denying them time on the map, but we're able to take away camps. Like, pretty much there's always something to fight for was the mentality of the coaches that I was talking to.
Even the simplest things like vision control as well around neutrals in a minute time. And getting control over the map for RNG for Top Esports.
Let's say you fight like a minute before Dragon right now. You're able to blow JackeyLove's flash. He doesn't have that in the next Dragon
5
fight.
minutes.
You now have an easier engage as RNG.
I think it's something that it can be quite misleading for people who, again, you know, looking at other regions.
Just a different mindset, right? It's pretty interesting.
It's nice as well, especially because with 17 teams, like, let's be real, there are some teams who will fight and not really use anything with leads. But now that we're in double elimination, we're with our top 4 teams. Every fight has meaning. And coming through here in 40 seconds, this one especially because it's the 3rd dragon, it's an Infernal Soul in this game. Top Esports still have a massive lead with Knight picking up the Seraph's Embrace. Fully upgraded, by the way, folks. We've also got the Icebawns that have a Thornmail on top, or Bramble Vest before it gets built into the Thornmail. TES still strong. The second Herald we're talking about, they're going to use it to batter down mid right before the objective.
Yeah, nice by TS. Use it to batter down mid, walk into river. You already have vision down. Make it hard for RNG to find a way into you because if Way is able to find, you know, his way from a side to be able to get onto JackeyLove, it feels like that is RNG's way of winning. Way onto JackeyLove, Xiaohu able to follow up, Bin maybe jumping in as well, zoning out some of the other members, and Gala just free hitting from behind.
Okay, well, if it comes across, if we get that all in, and if Gala's got the space, RNG, it's easy to see how they succeed. But for Top Esports, again, the strength is there as Wayward and Mark are zoning off. Ming goes to the Zenith lane, flashes on in. They're trying to get onto JackeyLove again. The onslaught of shadows, but JackeyLove is still so healthy. RNG have found Wayward, but look at the AD carry. As Dragon goes to TES. Tian is now running it front to back as Knight's doing the same. But they've taken a lot of poke on the return path. A 1-for-1 with the objectives. Gala's going back in. He flashes away. And Tian now in a bit of trouble as Realm Warp needs to get them out. RNG playing it close to the chest, but it's Top Esports who walk out with the objective.
RNG still going to be able to turn towards mid, but shouldn't be able to get anything off of this. At the end of the day, it just is an overall win for Top Esports, able to get the objective. 1-for-1 comes down, but again, it doesn't really change the state or the flavor of the game. Straight into the replay, we hit on the condition being you need to find a way onto JackeyLove. Top Esports are using this front line to dissuade them from being able to go forward. Yeah. Supposed to cast doesn't really do too much, but look, you don't hit JackeyLove, instantly cleanses the initial knockup, and HEcarim not able to get on top of him. So now still, main damage dealer still there. Knight also huge, able to get away off to the side. And without one of those two targets being your initial pick, it just feels like you really don't have the damage or the lockdown to be able to follow up on that engage.
And so for RNG, the road goes on, right? Like,
yes.
We're going to see the next fight come through, and when's that going to be? How do you set up now for RNG now that there's no neutral?
For RNG, again, I still feel like you're just trying to slow the game down a bit. You're 4.5k gold behind. You don't really need to be forcing too much right now unless Top Esports go for something. Right now, it looks like their wave is slowly pushing into TES, if I'm seeing the minimap correctly, so maybe you could try and utilize a factor where you have like numbers advantage to make something happen if Top Esports sends someone to answer or push out that wave.
Maybe something like this. Wayward flashing away from the Solar Flare, explosive cask used. Top Esports now in a choke. Don't remember, Xiaohu's ulti is not available. They're running on in with Everfrost usage as well. Top Esports are right in front of their eyes, but Wayward sacrificing himself. TES maybe looking a bit too desperately at what they can find next.
And I think Wayward just overcommitting there. I think you have no reason to continuously follow up if Knight's not in range to do damage. Knight, the one who's on 2.5 items right now, a whole item and a half up over his counterpart. JackeyLove not in range to do damage either. I think the follow-up is fine if you're there, if Knight has the Realm Warp to be able to get in, but no one really able to follow up on Wayward's aggression. But them thinking RNG went too far forward, which I think is understandable, but without your members able to follow up, it's all for naught.
And that gives RNG time. We come back to what you just said moments ago, you know, RNG trying to play the time game. Little mistakes like this, Top Esports not as coordinated as we saw in the early game. We see Wayward die Lyric and RNG, a sigh of relief comes across as they get a bit more time to work with.
Yeah, and also we just seen the replay in our corner. Really nice job by RNG to shut out Mark from being able to find the engage. I think it was specifically Xiaohu's Everfrost, which stopped him from being able to get in. So overall, if Mark could have locked him up, I can actually understand what Top Esports were going for, but Xiaohu just having a nice job of shutting that one down.
All right, now, so in front of Baron, we continue on. Top Esports still with the gold lead, but it's only 3,000 at this point, 5,000 moments ago. 2 minutes till the next dragon. Baron is being controlled. They're clearing out most of the vision here as Death Rocket has to be used to scout out as it hits Tian. RNG now, no. Baron has not begun. And Lyric at this point as well, since we are talking a lot about RNG and how they progress in this game, I just want to point out, Bin is really getting to a good point. 40 CS ahead. We've got a Nash's Tooth up in the top lane. Even Gala, right? Considering how the early lane went, we do have a 2-item with a Phantom Dancer now complete. And
now you're at a point where, especially for Ben, he's going to be a huge threat, but Top Esports going straight onto the Baron, just looking to cheese it because look at the minimap, the vision they have, the bot lane pushing out aggressively, so hoping that RNG wouldn't expect this to happen. But guess what? You're not fooling RNG. They ain't no fools.
That's right. Gala's going to zap it down. Xiaohu almost getting caught out, but no pillar placement yet. Top Esports, 4 members still moving towards as Wayward is going to catch bottom wave for now. They're going to clear the vision, and you know what? I don't think it's going to start again just yet.
And as Top Esports, I mean, you can like rotate back down to mid, push out that wave, send Knight back up the top, and then just look for these picks in the enemy jungle. I think you have more options from the fact you have the Realm Warp, so let's say someone does show top is actually they want to answer onto Bin with how far up he is in lane.
And they're fast as well. They've got a Realm Warp Lyric, and Knight knows how to use it. Bin running way back, but I guess they pivot around. They know that they're not going to find him in the end.
Yeah, I thought that one was a little bit overzealous. They do have the Realm Warp, so like maybe they could have made it work, but in the end, they decide they can't. He is able to get pretty far away, and now for RNG, they're going to be able to clear away some vision. Well, just looking to stop him for now, but Dragon's up in 30 seconds, so we know we're going to be pivoting back down towards that bottom half of the map.
Okay, again, see if Top Esports can find it. It'll be sole point for them here in game number 2. This series so far, you know, I said downstairs to Orcs, I said it felt like a bit of a stomp in game 1. Didn't feel so much like it. Game number 2, it's a bit more close, so that I'm excited for in 10 seconds.
And with us going into this team fight, one thing I really want to highlight is RNG having 3 stopwatches, Bin being one of them.
All right, well, we'll see. The Gwen with 1 Lyric pointing out Ming, Xiaohu with the others.
Yeah, 3 stopwatches, only 1 Zhonya's on the opposite side. Again, the game plan is still the same for RNG. Can Ming find the lockdown onto JackeyLove? Knight playing off to the side.
Solar Flare needs to come through. It's the Dragon taken, though, and RNG off the back foot, starting it off, and You know what? Just like that, it's done.
Wayward uses his ultimate so liberally. Just threw it out there for no reason, knocked Ming all the way back. And now RNG might have a chance to look for an engage with that disengage tool down.
Yeah, but they're over the wall once again. Top Esports still sitting in river. RNG, the problem is they're on the wrong side. They're
both on the wrong side.
Realm Warp taken, and it's just like that. Top Esports are on the left side of the map.
Realm Warp giving you those options. So able to push this one out, pivot up towards top, keep your stranglehold of vision around Baron, and make RNG wonder. And look at top and bot right now, both pushing in favor of TES. So if RNG don't answer, they're going to be dropping waves, which... That's probably the last thing on RNG's mind right now with the fact that they have to answer this play. Bin does have TP, so he did start to roam down, but top Esports...
Oh, it's a nice little bait because Wayward body slammed the Baron. Now that Ming thinks he has to go in as Hero's entrance being used. One of the stopwatch you talked about uses. Shielded around. Beautiful. The onslaught of shadows. RNG's Wombo has finally come together. And top Esports now left with Knight in a golden statue in the mid lane. But RNG in this series ain't going swiftly into that cold night.
That was absolutely huge from the side of RNG. The way that they staggered their CC made it so they could find it. And now they're the team who gets to take the Baron.
All it takes is one play. We're mentioning the conditions of RNG over and over in this game, and we see the plan come together. We love it. We want to see it again.
I absolutely love how RNG played this replay because we see Ming go in, instantly cleanse, popped by JackeyLove. Now look at the other members. They're all funneling in onto JackeyLove, and it's Xiaohu here. Locks him down, gets the taunt, and bam, he now has nothing to be able to escape. RNG seriously staggering their CC beautifully. Pop the summoner spells that they need to pop to be able to take down the key member and follow forward. So just great wombo combo coming out from the side of RNG. Not only locking down JackeyLove, right, but they locked down so many members.
Xiaohu's been bullied all game. He hasn't gotten to play too much here on the Galio. The hero's entrants have been few and far between, but we see one. We see that Everfrost hit a 3-man. Shielded around 3 or 4 members. And the mid laner pays dividends. In a series we talked about experience and tenure in the LPL. Xiaohu has come alive in the second game, and the Galio makes or breaks. We watch internationals. The game number 2. We've got RNG with a 3K gold lead now.
And that's why, for RNG, I mean, you were talking earlier, we were talking about the identities of these teams, and it's like, for RNG, this split specifically really has felt like the Xiaohu show.
Yep.
That's why when, we were in Corki meta, I felt like they looked so sloppy because you had them on a champion that couldn't really find agency or huge impact. Like, sure, you could have the huge package, but you're not moving from mid, impacting sides, covering for bin, making this action happen. And ever since we've been in this meta where LeBlanc, where we've seen him playing a ton of Vex, this kind of stuff, it really feels like he's found his footing. Like you said, bullied heavily in that early game, 70 CS behind, finally able to make up for it, but Ming also setting it all up.
And he's had some really good, what I'd call crying games this split, or at least not this split, but playoffs. Where he's facilitating a role here this game. Xiaohu with the all-in. Again, we can talk until it's a dead horse, but Wei is still alive for now. And I want to talk a little bit about what RNG do with this Baron. Lyric, gold has swung, as I said before. It's 3,000 in the lead for Royal Never Give Up. And they're sieging like there's no tomorrow.
And now it just becomes so much easier, right? Because now it's not necessarily top esports who are always going to be able to get on objectives first, be able to cut you out. RNG now will be able to dictate a lot of what happens on the map. So using this to expand their gold lead for now. But I think the most interesting thing is with the Baron, them finding the lead, how that impacts Next Dragon when top esports are on sole point, because now you can start pushing out, take away top esports vision on the bottom side, get your own deep wards down.
Yep.
And then for top esports, I think for your composition, it's much harder to force into RNG than vice versa. So we're going to have to see if top esports can be a little bit clever with the fact that they do still have that Realm Warp available, maybe find a way onto Gala to take him out of a fight early. But even the other members of RNG just bring so much damage. Bin even still not having to pop that stopwatch.
I mean, I'm so curious if they can protect President JackeyLove again. We talked about it in the early game. Now it feels like a conversational point to come back up. You're pointing towards what, Lyric? I see cleanse. It's almost there. Almost there in front of the dragon fight.
You could take the credit for seeing the cleanse yourself.
No. You pointed it. You deserve the credit. You always deserve the credit. I think top esports deserve credit in the early game, but RNG in this game are definitely going to be bringing it right back. Lyric, set me up.
Right here, we can see the struggle of being able to walk in, right? I mean, you're just walking into a ton of AoE CC and AoE damage able to come through from RNG. Even Gala being the highest range champion on the Rifts, who would just be taking free damage. They're trying to funnel in through bot where they don't even have prio in lane, but it's the only way for top esports to be able to get into this position in River.
Infernal Soul up for grabs, 15 seconds. Lyric, downstairs they're talking about a curse of the first game. And RNG versus top esports in this one is going to tell us if it's true. Is over the wall. Blast code from Ming and Wei. Bin meanwhile getting a flank on top of Knight, but Wei's now out of the back with the hero's entrance. Xiaohu again, man! The tenure of this mid laner cannot be understated as Tian now dies. Night on the menu, boys. How did the Urukai know what a menu was? As Knight runs out, level 14 versus level 14, he knows it's done because RNG have finally come to play.
And now RNG 6k gold lead, get the dragon for themselves. They deny Soul from top esports. And you got 20-second death timer on JackeyLove. You can keep pushing, maybe take another turret.
This would be huge, opening up the bottom side and as well denying the Infernal Soul. Way spending time in front of the Drake, and it all comes up. Royal never give up. Lyric, a series on our hands is an understatement.
And now we're at a point where I just don't even know if top esports have the amount of damage to be able to take these fights. It looks like they don't. At 8k gold lead, they definitely don't have the damage to take these fights now. But even coming into this one, it was a bit scary because Ming initially will go in here, misses his Zenith Blade. They aren't able to get on top of JackeyLove, but still such a squishy front line. And we see once the HEcarim gets in, finds the fear, Xiaohu follows up with the knock-up, they still get critical CC. And it goes back to what we hit on earlier. You just have so much CC tools. You have so many different ways to be able to get on top of him. For TS, I mean, they found the early snowball in the early game. They were pushing it forward, and sadly, I think with the comps, they kind of needed that to be able to run home. And without that, with the mistake that they made and gave it back to RNG, I mean, it just feels like RNG's game at this point. Rabadon's death cap on Bin. Bin still hasn't had to use that stopwatch.
He really hasn't. I mean, he's almost Flame Horizoning over Wayward, who had such a good early game. The GA you're pointing out is Gala, who is 50 CS ahead. And RNG, through multiple lanes, were not really going that well. But one single play in the mid lane, RNG have brought it all back. And now it's been fight after fight, looking better and better. 7,000 gold lead. It's 30 minutes into the game. They are channeling down mid. And you're right. I'm looking at the damage sources here. Knight has gone into a full damage source this game, but will it really be enough with RNG breaking another part of your base?
No, and it just feels so hard, right? You're kind of relying on a mistake to come out from the members of RNG. Gala having the confidence to just run forward since he does have that Guardian's Angel.
True. Just doesn't care anymore. Wayward at half HP. Top esports looking for a play, but it's double inhibitors down now. They're on the chase, but Predator from Xiaohu is such a threat. They've got to keep their space. Well, okay, no. They're going to go in. Hero's entrance again, and you know what? That's a bit of a mistake. Mark goes down first as Knight kites back with the Zenith Blade again. Great from Ming. A Death Rocket to fly through. RNG want to make it competitive. Keep the curse of the first game and make sure that this goes to one apiece. A quadra kill for Gala, and man, we weren't even talking about Gala in this second game of the day. As the Nexus turrets go on down, Royal never give up. Keep it competitive. Now upper bracket final.
RNG, they take advantage of the mid-game mistakes coming out from top esports after what was a beautiful early game, playing so well, once again capitalizing on the mistakes, Knight moving around the map, but at the end of the day, I mean, it was that one fight where they're able to find JackeyLove, again, staggering the CC. Leona ult comes out, you pop the cleanse, instantly HEcarim follows up, Galio able to lock him down. I think you're right, it was 3-man Everfrost into a 3-man Shield of Durand, and from there, after bringing the game back to an even point, I mean, we just saw the amount of tools that RNG had to work with.
I mean, it's amazing that one play can define it all, especially when we talked about RNG not running out of options, but having to slow the game down. And then we got to that singular point before Infernal Soul. And RNG brought it all back. I mean, for top esports, you got to give them credit in the early game. It felt like we were going to a 2-0. It felt like it was going to be a bit of a stomp. But nice to see that RNG, I guess we're able to pivot in the series. I don't know what much more to say. The fact that, you know, Way having a better game as well is
They were able to, like, stick to their goal, know their win conditions, and, you know, again, be able to find that opportunity. They weren't really overforcing all too much, and they were able to punish or even just outplay when top esports were the ones overforcing, specifically when we saw Wayward going in and trying to link up with Mark. And a beautiful Everfrost by Xiaohu to be able to stop that aggression from coming through, and the other members weren't close enough. But yeah, they never really pushed too far, gave over too many picks in the mid game, which I think a lot of LPL teams would. They waited for that right moment, and they found it. And luckily, when you have a comp like this, that is Galio, Leona, HEcarim, that's all you need. You just need that one right moment to work, and then you're instantly back in the game.
And it's good because now we have a series. We're not going to go down the fearful night knowing that top esports are 2-0 up. But importantly enough as well, like there's a lot of RNG fans out there that are tremoring a little bit considering watching top esports against V5 was so surprising. Game 3, 4, and 5. RNG might have reverse swept as well, but it's still a very impressive performance from Top Esports that made me predict them today. I mean, I think Top Esports for me were the favorite just because.
I mean, I think there's one thing that's easy to say after these first 2 games, and even just looking at how the series have gone so far in playoffs, is that Top Esports are the better early game team.
Yep.
They are much more proactive in terms of how they like to use their pressure, especially coming out from mid, and they're easily able to use that to start stacking massive advantages. We see in this game here, they were able to do the same thing, get up to about a 5K gold lead, but there at the 24-minute mark, just past, is when RNG were able to find that crucial engage onto the side of TS. I even got to say, right, we kept hitting on how TS should be looking for these picks in top side, have Ryze push out, use the Realm Warp maybe on a side with the Gragas. And with the fact that he was the strong member, would have been nice to see Top Esports look for more of those plays.
Yeah.
And it sucks that when they did look for the plays, again, it was Wayward starting up or Mark starting up, but it has to be around your strong focal point who had like a 2-item advantage.
It was 5-0 and 4, and